smile.
Testing.
I can't see my plant. I'll be able to see my plant.
Is that working? Fried as hell. You know, I set all this up and now I'm like, what was I gonna talk about? Mercury transiting Pisces, everyone. Mercury transiting Pisces. The sun joining Neptune. Mercury soon joining the sun and Neptune, squaring Mars. If that sounded like another language to you, I'll translate. Lots of spaciness, lots of tiredness, lots of disturbed sleep, lots of weird and vivid dreams, prophetic dreams, astral traveling in our dreams. There's just a lot of weird shit going on, okay? A lot of spiritual awakenings, a lot of spiritual activations, psychic activations, intuitive amplifications. A lot of us right now are realizing how psychic we are or becoming more psychic if maybe we have turned off our gifts or denied our gifts at one point in our life. And that, everyone, is Saturn in Pisces. So welcome to the next 2.5, 3 years of the Saturn and Pisces transit. This video is going to be, like the title suggests, an update of what Saturn and Pisces is going to bring all of us. At the end, I will give updates for each rising sign, and more specifically I will be talking about Saturn return because I got a request for this video. Actually, I think I've gotten several requests over various platforms for this video from followers, from clients, from friends to talk about Saturn and Pisces, and more specifically if your Saturn return is in Pisces, which basically means if you don't have your astrology chart screenshotted, like what are you doing? Screenshot it, favorite it, so you can always refer back to it. My favorite place to get your chart is astro-charts.com. It's pretty, I like it, simple to use. So yeah, get your chart there. If your Saturn is in Pisces, you scroll down under your chart, it will give you your planet placements. If your planet Saturn, if your planets are in Pisces, if all of them are in Pisces, you should be worried because that's probably never happened. But if your Saturn is in Pisces, then right now is the beginning of your Saturn return. If you're new to the astrology world, which if you found me, you're probably not. But if you are, and we'll just rehash what Saturn return is. So Saturn return is a time of maturation. It is your gateway into adulthood. It peaks at age 29, although it can begin anywhere from 27 to 28, okay? But when it peaks, when it is at its climax, is in sometime during your 29th year. For me, I just started my Saturn return, so I'm right there with you. It will peak for me right before I turn 30. So literally about 2 months before I turn 30 is when my Saturn return will peak. Again, this is going to vary for you depending on your chart and where Saturn is and when Saturn moves back to the exact same place that it was at the time that you were born. But that is the best way I can generalize it, is that it's going to happen sometime during your 29th year. Okay, if you are 29, then you are either having your Saturn return peak right meow, or you're ending your Saturn return and you might feel it still for the next couple of months. I also had someone ask me about what do you do now if you just ended your Saturn return, and the advice I would give is to look at your chart, okay? And if you need help learning all of this astrology jargon, and learning the lingo and reading your chart on your own, check out my ebook, The Cosmos Within You. It is literally your all-in-one guide to both astrology and human design, and being able to read these systems and modalities on your own and know what these things in your chart mean and know what they mean when people talk about them, so you're not having to translate, okay? Or you're not confused or having to Google everything all the time. My ebook is your all-in-one go-to resource, okay? So check that out. It'll be in the description box. So if you just ended your Saturn return, you want to look at, maybe you already know this if you're, again, really well-versed in your chart, but maybe you don't. So ask yourself, where do I have Aquarius in my chart? Because that's the house that Saturn just left. And I'm prefacing this in this video, because one, I didn't do a Saturn and Aquarius video, sorry guys, and two, because it is important to look at, regardless whether you just ended your Saturn return or you're starting your Saturn return, where did Saturn just leave? What area of life, right? That is going to be the sector of your chart. We call them houses in astrology. They're like pie pieces on a pie chart, right? Your chart is a circle. Don't use CoStar. I feel like a broken record when I say that, but that app will not give you your astrology chart, okay? You want to get your chart and you want to look at what area has Aquarius in it. Doesn't mean you have planets in that house. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But Aquarius is going to be somewhere in your chart, right? If you're an Aquarius rising, it's going to be in your first house. I use whole sign houses. Have to preface by saying that too. It just is easier to interpret and read your chart using whole sign houses. A lot of chart calculating systems will default to Placidus. So if you want to use my method and make it easier on yourself, in the settings, change the house system to whole sign, okay? If you're an Aquarius rising, Saturn just left your first house. If you're a Leo rising, Saturn just left your 7th house. And I'm not going to go into the meaning of all of the houses because that's not what this video is for. I have other videos on that, or like I said, you can get my ebook because it breaks it all down in there super simply. You want to look at where is Aquarius in your chart, because that is the area of life for you that Saturn just left. And Saturn gets a bad rap because Saturn can place restrictions and limitations wherever it is in your chart. It can kind of have a restrictive way of bringing lessons and bringing energy to that area of your chart and that house, which represents an area of your life, right? So for example, I am a Libra rising. Aquarius rules my 5th house, and Saturn just left Aquarius and therefore just left my 5th house. And I instantly felt that, like in terms of my sexuality, in terms of my creativity, in terms of my dating life, in terms of like what I'm doing to pursue my joy and my happiness and pleasure. Like the last 2.5 years since Saturn has been in this area of my life has felt really restricted when it comes to that. All of the people I've dated or tried to date have just been situationships and clusterfucks and just like karmic lesson after karmic lesson after karmic lesson. And I was just like so close to giving up, right? So close to giving up on love. And I'm ruled by Venus. No, like what? I said that? I thought that? But as soon as Saturn left that area of my life, I was like, oh, I think I did it. I think I learned what I needed to learn. And that was boundaries. Because that's another thing that Saturn will bring you is how do you need to have and cultivate and be disciplined with and committed to better boundaries, verbal and energetic boundaries in your life. And so Saturn will bring that lesson of you need to place boundaries here. It's not bad, okay? It's just like this is what Saturn has to teach you. I teach this to my people that are in my astrology courses. I also talk about this briefly in my ebook, but the courses go way deeper of how each planet in your chart is a teacher and it brings you a different lesson, okay? Your astrology chart is like high school and you have different classes with different teachers, right? Each planet is a different teacher and brings different lessons. Saturn brings where do you need to put boundaries in place? What karmic lessons do you need to learn to mature and really cultivate better emotional intelligence and maturity, right? Over your own energy and not keep reliving and reliving and reliving these karmic lessons that are ultimately really challenging. So that's really the lesson of Saturn. And I guess this is I wanted to do a video about this, but I guess this is me doing it now. And I'll probably make this a little chapter of Saturn is not bad, okay? It just comes to teach you certain things. And Saturn plays the long game too. Saturn plays like, okay, I'm not going to give you instant gratification for those lessons that you learned. I'm going to delay your gratification, right? And make sure that you didn't just do it for the sake of like, maybe I'll get rewarded. That's Jupiter's game, right? Jupiter is the instant gratification game. Saturn is the long gratification, delayed gratification game. And if you put in the work and stay committed and disciplined to what Saturn wants to teach you, it will pay off, but you won't see it immediately, okay? And that's really the overarching energy of Saturn. Whether it was just your Saturn return or it's becoming your Saturn return now, where's Aquarius in your chart? Where did Saturn just leave? I want you to reflect on that area of your life and how since the end of 2020, you've learned a lot of lessons there. What did that teach you, right? Maybe journal about this if you feel called to, or whatever, voice record yourself. Reflect on it, okay? Reflect on it. What did you learn? What came up for you? What were major themes that were hard and challenging? Like I gave my personal example, as I always do. Keeping it real with you guys. I ain't a freaking robot. I live and breathe this shit as well. My dating life was very challenging. It was very challenging in love and sex and creativity. It was very challenging. It was like, okay, I'm creating these things. I'm doing this stuff. You know, there's enough money to get by, but like, I want to do some big things. I want to do some big things, universe. Like, can you help me out with that? No, Saturn doesn't do instant gratification. So what were the lessons that you learned that you felt like were really challenging and really conflicting? Because if you learn them and you stick to them, right, Saturn will bring you blessings no matter what. And they won't be just like, I won the lottery type blessings. Again, that's Jupiter. They will be, I am now wealthier than I have ever been, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon blessings. Like, Saturn brings you long-term, long-lasting success in the way that you are cultivating it and staying disciplined and committed to building it, right? Saturn is all about building and foundations. And what foundations were you really called to create for yourself over the last 2.5 years since the end of 2020? Now, that shift and that focus is changing, right, into the house that you have Pisces in. And I'll be going through this at the end of the video briefly for each sign. But I also want you guys to learn how to look at your chart and read this on your own, because it's so much more simple than our minds make it out to be. It's really just about forming sentences. And once you learn the language of astrology and even human design, and you learn how to form sentences, you can make interpretations and you can piece out what all of this means for yourself. And that is really my mission and my goal, and what I've been building and what I've been creating is a way to educate you all and to teach you how to become your own astrologer and your own human design guide. By the way, from here on out, these videos will be posted first in the VIP section of my membership. So I'm launching a new membership site that is rooted in community. It is literally like a better Facebook, no social media attached. That is just my people, you, who want to learn astrology and human design and connect with other people who are also learning these systems and modalities. The VIP membership, those of you in the VIP membership will get first access to my content before it is publicly released anywhere else. So I wanted to say that as well, because I wanted to do it at the beginning and I forgot. Okay, so Saturn in Aquarius really taught us how important community is, how important it is to feel like we belong, how important it is to embrace our uniqueness and our individuality and stick to that and stay disciplined in that and not bend or shapeshift or conform ourselves because of who we're around or where we are, okay? That's the overall general lesson of Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Pisces is like, okay, now that you learned how badly you need people, it's time to build. It's time to create the systems, create the networks, create the business, create the dream, the vision to bring those people to you or to find those people in your life, right? Pisces is about caring for others. Pisces is a mutable water sign. Let's start there, right? Aquarius is fixed air. Air doesn't like to be fixed. Air doesn't like to remain in one place and be stagnant. But that's kind of what it's felt like for the past 2.5 years, that like all of our ideas, all of our hopes and dreams, all of our visions were just kind of like, we weren't seeing the progress, right? We weren't seeing, like, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm doing all the things, like, why is it all so stagnant? And Pisces, Saturn in Pisces brings this mutable aspect to what we've been doing, to our dreams, to our hopes, to our visions. Pisces is ruled traditionally by Jupiter and modernly by Neptune, right? So what is Jupiter all about? I've kind of talked about that a little bit already. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, abundance, optimism, spirituality, philosophy, learning, growth. It wants it all, and it wants it right now. Neptune is like this like watery sea creature that is like just diving in the depths. Don't know what's down there, but I'm gonna find out. And then I might share it with people, right? It might also connect me better to God. So Saturn in Pisces is not only about changing the way we relate to others, but communing with others in a way that's more connected in oneness, in a way that's more connected in universal truth. I just heard that. And universal love. I was going to say universal love, but universal truth is what came through, which is interesting. And I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you all that are starting your Saturn return right now. Maybe there'll be more messages about that when I do that. That was interesting. I mean, universal truth is love, right? That's all we are, is the expression of love. And Pisces brings this, I almost feel like I've said Pisces so many times, but that sign brings this greater connection to love and universal energy and spirituality and God, the universe itself, okay? And Saturn is a very grounded planet. I've already said Saturn is foundations, right? Saturn is structure. Saturn in Pisces asks us to be structured and grounded about our connection to spirituality, about our connection to God and the universe and the people around us. It also asks us to use our intuition when making decisions, but from a grounded place, right? We need both. If, you know, you're all floaty, all woo-woo all the time, this is the typical, like, person that's like, you know, you pass on the street that seems crazy because they're just spewing out some stuff and you're like, who are you talking to, dude? That's like what you get when you're too woo-woo, too up there, right? You're not grounded in reality. So Saturn in Pisces is asking us to balance both the practical, the grounded, the structured, but also the spiritual, the intuitive and the psychic and the etheric, okay? It's also asking us, as Pisces is mutable water, the truest water sign, it's asking us to flow with change, to flow with our structure, to not be so rigid. Like, yes, be committed to this long-term goal and vision that we have, right? But don't be so rigid in the outcome. Don't be so rigid in, not necessarily the outcome, but like how you get to the outcome, right? Like, you've had this dream, you've had this vision. Now is the time to be taking action on it if you haven't been already. If you've been doing the work, you're going to be rewarded sooner because you've already been taking the action. But if you haven't, it's time to start and you will be rewarded. But don't be so caught up or attached strongly to how it can come into fruition, because there are as many ways it can happen as there are weather patterns, right? As there are droplets of water or grains of sand on the beaches across the world, right? Like, there are so many ways that it can happen for you. And this is where I'm going to bring in some human design. Follow your authority, okay? Follow your freaking authority in human design. It is your inner guidance system. It is your compass. Again, if you need help in that department, consult my mini videos on YouTube and TikTok, consult my website, have a free guide, consult anything else that calls to you to learn about how to use your authority in human design. Use it, okay? Live it. Make decisions from your authority as much as you possibly can, okay? It's gonna make everything easier. And meditate, do yoga. That's really what Saturn is and Pisces is bringing in too, is like, are you committed? Are you dedicated to your spiritual practices? Are you dedicated to the things that are gonna help you connect better to your inner self, the universal truth and universal love, which is meditation? Are you practicing mindfulness? Are you practicing the things that you know are good for you? Are you drinking enough water? You know, are you wearing your crystals when you feel called to? Are you setting boundaries with those people when you feel called to? Are you letting things go that you know you probably should when you need to, right? Like, now is not the time to stall or delay things that your intuition is telling you. Because as much as I've already said this, as much as we need the intuitive, as much as we need the connection to spirituality, we also need to be grounded in practical reality and be taking physical action to move ourselves forward, to move ourselves closer to our dreams, okay? Because they're not just gonna fall out of the sky, kind of like The Secret movie alludes to. You gotta take action, okay? You gotta do what your authority in human design is telling you to do. You got to listen. You got to follow through on it. And how do you cultivate greater hearing and listening abilities when it comes to your intuition and your inner authority in human design? Meditation and mindfulness, okay? If it overwhelms you, start with 5 minutes. It's a practice. You're never going to silence your mind, probably. I haven't, and I've been meditating for 8-9 years. I still don't know how to silence my mind, okay? But I meditate every single day because it helps me connect and it helps me to have a better connection with not only God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, but myself and my inner guidance system, which is what is propelling me and moving me through life and telling me, yeah, this is in alignment for you. And that's not in alignment for you, do not talk to that person. Do not go to that place. Won't end well, okay? So that's what your authority is in human design. And that's one of my best tips, along with practicing meditation, that I can give you if you're starting your Saturn return. Cultivating a positive mindset is going to help so much, no matter what, during your Saturn return and after. Because Saturn, again, brings you lessons that you need to learn. And if you're facing those lessons with bravery and with courage and learning them and integrating what you're learning, all is well. All will be fine, okay? I mean, all will be fine either way, but you're gonna have an easier time with it if you're actually like applying what you're learning, right? That is truly wisdom. Applied knowledge is wisdom. So apply what you've been learning, okay? Similar to what I said for where Saturn was leaving as it moved out of Aquarius in your house, consult where Pisces is in your chart. That is the area of life that might be a little bit restricted for you, might bring up a lot of needing to set boundaries, needing to have a little bit more structure or discipline there. It's also really going to bring a lot of intuitive gifts and abilities and awakenings through that area of your life. Might even bring in people connected to spirituality as well. The healing arts, the healing modalities, Akashic records, Reiki, astrology and human design, tarot, crystals. All of those things are going to blow up during Saturn's transit through Pisces, okay? Like, I'm calling it. Especially with Pluto going into Aquarius. Expect a huge boom in all things alternative healing modalities in the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, so more advice for if this is your Saturn return. I mean, you can be aware of it, but as I say all the time in my energy updates, like, looking ahead at the energy is one thing, but living through it is a completely different, otherworldly thing than looking ahead and being like, oh, this is probably what will happen then. You really never know, okay? And your mindset going into these things and into these changes is going to be key for how you handle it, how you move through it, how you navigate it. It's also going to depend on your chart, right? What do you have aspecting Saturn? What do you have in the same house as you have Saturn in, right? There's just so many other factors that I cannot tell you with a generalized video how this is going to be for you, what to look out for, what to look forward to. One thing I can recommend is not to make any drastic life changes unless, again, your authority is telling you to. And this is where authority in human design is king over all of anything anyone says to you, okay? If your authority is like, yeah, make that move to Taiwan, fucking do it, okay? You're probably meant to go there. But if you're like in a crisis and you're like, I think I need to move to Taiwan, and your authority's like, but you're not listening, it's probably gonna make it harder time for you. 10 out of 10 will be a harder time. Guaranteed. So I don't know that I can give any more advice, or that I want to give more advice for those of you that it is your Saturn return. I mean, I'm right there with you, so follow my journey if you haven't been already. Also feel like I've really been freaking through it the last my whole life. So I don't know how it could get any worse. I feel like this is kind of my glow up era, and I've also seen this happen a lot with people that are now famous, right? They blew up during their Saturn return. They actually had really good things happen to them during their Saturn return. But again, it depends on what work have you put in, what inner work and personal development and personal growth have you put in up until this point. Because if you've been doing the work on yourself and the last few years have felt challenging, might be a little bit of an easier time for you. If you feel like you've been coasting and you've been just like living in like, ooh, comfort, like, yeah, Saturn return might be kind of difficult for you. That's just, it is what it is, okay? Because again, Saturn brings you lessons, and if you hadn't been listening to those lessons and learning them up until now, it's gonna bring them to you, okay? It's gonna be like a slap in the face. But if you've been like aware of Saturn and been like, okay, Saturn, you know, don't slap me. I'm gonna learn that lesson. I'm gonna learn that lesson. I'm gonna integrate the lesson. And I'm gonna not do the same thing to have that lesson repeat. I'm gonna learn from it. Then you probably won't get slapped in the face, right? It's gonna be an easier time. I don't know if that was a great analogy, but that's the one that came through. So let me know how that resonates with you. Also, let me know in the comments, where is Saturn in your chart? Do you have it in Aquarius? Do you have it in Pisces? Do you have it in another sign? Did you already have your Saturn return? Have you not had your Saturn return yet? Let me know. Let me know where you're at with Saturn and it's returning. And I hope this video helps you. One last thing I will say, because 1-3 profile here, I have been through so much. And there were times where I was like, why is this happening again? This has already happened to me 40 times. Why is this happening again? And a wise woman said to me when I was really in that place of kind of being hard on myself and like existential, don't frame it like that. What were the actions that you took leading up to this that you ignored when it was time to not make that same mistake, for lack of a better word, again, right? And I was like, oh shit, I did do that, huh? I kept making this decision out of fear, and every time it has led me to this place of hardship. And so I tuned into my inner authority in human design, and I changed how I made decisions. Lo and behold, my life experiences changed. And that is what I mean by learning the lesson. You have to do it differently than you have done before. They say, my mom says this all the time, and I used to eye roll, okay. But like literally, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Do it differently. Do it differently. It's not the easiest thing to be aware and to change how you act, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? And that's when you truly heal and learn the lesson, and that shit don't repeat no more. Okay? So how does that apply to your life? And how does that apply to the area of life that Saturn is going to be moving through for you in these next couple years? Reflection questions, maybe a little bit of homework. Okay. So I'm going to do a little cardy pull. Now we're going to do a general card pull for all of you guys that are having your Saturn return. Oh shit, cards are flying out. Ace of Swords. Embrace a new mindset. Okay. Embrace a new mindset. Change your limiting beliefs. Cut that shit out, right? Okay, that's enough cards. We're done. Shit, I shuffled these upside down. All right, Ace of Swords, King of Swords. Like, swords rule the limiting beliefs. They rule the mindset, right? This is air energy. This is your thoughts. This is your mind. This is your communication to yourself and others. This is your perception of reality, okay? You are the master of your universe, and it stems from your thoughts. It stems from what you're thinking that's leading to what you're feeling. That's what you're creating in your life. Okay, so it's really time for you to embrace a new set of beliefs, a new mindset, to speak to yourself differently. It's going to take repetition. It's going to take repetition. It's not going to happen overnight. So have grace with yourself in this process, because you've spent 27, 28, 29, maybe even years learning how to have this one mindset that you're in right now. So it's going to take time to shift it. But again, dedication, repetition, commitment to the new, you're good as gold. Okay, other cards that came out. Queen of Wands. You are also the master of your energy, of your creativity, but don't be reckless. Honor your moods, honor the influctuations in energy you might be feeling. I was talking about this. Shit, I've created so much content. I don't know where I talk about things anymore, especially with Mercury and Pisces right now. I feel like I have pregnancy brain, and I haven't even been pregnant before. But Pluto is going to be in gate 60 all year. Okay, and gate 60 in human design, don't get scared by this word. It is called limitation. But step away from your associations with the word limitation. What this means, because I'm going to talk you through it, right? I'm going to talk you down from the ledge of being scared at the word limitation and Pluto together in the same sentence. What gate 60 is about, and specifically Pluto here, is there's a lot of death and rebirth happening when it comes to our energy, and we're not going to feel like our energy is consistent probably this whole year. There will be phases of, I feel really good, I feel really active, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. And then there will be phases where we need downtime, right? Because gate 60 is in the root, and the root center in human design is a pressure center, but it operates on a pulse. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's go time, let's freaking do it. It's off. I need to rest. I need to lay on the floor and do nothing. Okay, so don't be reckless with your energy. If you feel like resting, rest, because that creativity and that inspiration and that on will always come back around, and probably will come back around faster when you allow yourself downtime to rest. Okay, so you are the master, the ultimate master of your energy and your creativity, but don't be reckless with how you're expressing and using your energy. Another thing with gate 60, they're telling me just comes in. When it comes in, I have learned to just say it. Can you bring that back around, please? Another thing with gate 60 is, and the limitation part of it, is that it's all about timing, right? It tells us when the timing is right for us to do certain things. And this is also where your authority comes in, because that's what your authority ultimately tells you is, yes, this is right for you to do right now, or no, hold off a little bit, right? And with Pluto being in gate 60, it's like the way we flow is going through a big change and a transformation, and we're no longer forcing ourselves to be like the sun and come up every single day at the same time and shine for these amount of hours every single day and be consistent. Like, we're learning how to be more like the moon and go through phases of our energy. Another thing with gate 60 is tied to sugar. So you might be feeling more cravings for sugar. The best place to get that is from fruit. So eat more fruit if it's available to you where you live. Two of Cups came out. A lot of people are connecting with their person this year, the next 2 and 3 years. If you are in a relationship, this could be greater harmony with yourself, greater connection to your own intuition, spirituality, emotions, your own inner world. But this could also be like, you know, this is love to ourselves or to another. This could be really finding that soulmate connection during this time. This is coming through too. Before I knew how to form my own opinions about the things in the astrology world and use my own intuition and an intuitive channel to discern things in the astrology world and about certain things in the astrology community, like Saturn Return, I heard someone say at one point, like, and this happens when we're learning, right? We attach to certain things and then we're like, oh, this means that. It's more nuanced. It's more complex. So, but one of the things that I had heard is like, don't get married during Saturn Return. Don't get married. Don't get married. I might eat my words later, but like, I feel like this is really, for a lot of us, the time when we meet that person, right? If you want to get married, like, this is the time where that person could come in. And I have a friend who actually met her person at the beginning of her Saturn return and got married to him during, I think, both of their Saturn returns. And they have like one of the most beautiful relationships I've ever seen. And I feel like they're really like divine counterparts. And so that kind of changed my perception of like, okay, you know, I don't think this kind of stuff can be generalized. But I think for a lot of us, these next 2 years, take it as it resonates always, it's probably the time that we're going to meet your person. If you, like I said, if you've already met your person, maybe this is just cultivating a greater relationship with yourself, your own emotions, having a better balance in your relationship, having better boundaries around how much you're caring for your partner or for, you know, if you have children, that kind of thing, like really respecting yourself more. Okay, the last card that came out, and I'm going to get a clarifier for this one, is the Devil, which is actually Saturn's card. Which can just be like, okay, actually I know the message from this, but I'm still going to get a clarifier because I said I would. I keep my promises to find ego. Even if it takes me a long time to fulfill them sometimes. I'm only one person, but as a Mani-Gen, I try to be 100 people. Oh my god, let me know if that resonates with you. Any other Mani-Gens are watching this. Okay, Ace of Cups. Yeah, it's like, ooh. Okay, I feel like what I said about the mental patterns and like not repeating the same thing and like having awareness over what actions contributed to those things repeating in your life. Like, this is the message of the Devil card, because the Ace of Cups came out, which is like a new beginning with your emotional intelligence. And, you know, everyone that, when this card comes out, they're like, oh my god, the cups overflowing. Oh my god, like, oh my god, look at that. Like, you're getting this gift from the universe and the cup's like overflowing. But it's like, okay, but you know, the Devil card's here too. Like, you gotta put in the work. You got to remove yourself from the chains of your patterning. That was good. You got to remove yourself from the chains of your patterning for this to come in, and for all of these like new beginnings to take place. Otherwise, you're just going to repeat the same shit. And change isn't easy, right? Change is uncomfortable. Change is the worst thing to our monkey brains, because it means we're going to die or something, or we're going to be kicked out of our tribe. But that's not the truth anymore. It's 2023. It's a 21st century. We're like a quarter of the way through the 21st century. Like, embrace the change, right? It will be so much easier and will be so much more rewarding when you get on the other side of like, well, that really sent me through it, but I'm so glad I handled it the way I did, and I'm so glad that I learned how to have awareness over myself and my actions to end those patterns. Okay, that's your tarot reading, if this is your Saturn return. If you watched it and it's not your Saturn return, hopefully it resonated with you too. But like I said, I feel like, what is that, 9 of Wands on the bottom? Don't hold on to things you know aren't good for you. Move on. Something better is in the way. To have the new, you gotta let go of the old so you have space for it, right? If you never clean out your closet and you get new clothes, that closet gonna be a hot mess in like no time, girl. Or you know, person. Clean out your closet. Clean out your mental closet, clean out your physical closet so you can bring in the new. I was just about to shuffle these cards. That's how like much of a habit it is. Feels like a lot of beautiful things are coming in for those of you whose Saturn return it is. And even if it's not, like I really feel like Saturn in Pisces is miracles occur when you lay the foundation for them to come in, for yourself to receive them. When you are committed and disciplined to your hopes, your dreams, your vision, your long-term goals, and what your heart desires, not what your mental mind, monkey brain desires of like, well, you know, I was told that like I would be happy if I did this and I did that and then I did that. I'm still not happy. Because you're not listening to your heart. What is your heart telling you to do? That's how you're going to find happiness. That's how you're going to find joy, fulfillment, success, peace, ease, love, abundance. Is listening to your heart. And so many of us in the next 2 to 3 years are going to really realize how we haven't been doing that and how much we really need to start doing that and stay committed and disciplined to our heart's desires. And just put that shit in the back seat, you know, give it an iPad, put it in the back seat, but don't let it drive the car, okay? You're not going to let your toddler drive the car. So don't let your crazy ass thoughts drive your car either. That's what you got your inner authority for in human design, okay? Okay, so Aries Rising, Saturn is in your 12th house for the next 2 to 3 years. It just left your 11th house. So you probably went through it with your long-term goals, your visions, your community, your outward community. I'm talking like social media. I'm talking like acquaintances, right? I'm talking like you probably got a lot clearer on what you want to do and how you want to move forward and how you want to contribute to society with your gifts, okay? So now Saturn is moving through your 12th house, and it's asking you to look at what has previously. It's that time of night. It's that time of night. Okay, I'm going to take that as confirmation. You saw that. The light just went off. It's on a timer, but like, I did not realize this had taken me this long. Come to terms with what has previously been hidden from you as it relates to your creativity, your intuition, your relationship with spirituality. Meditation is really going to help you with getting those downloads and listening to them. Take action on them, okay? Aries, you're really good at taking action when you choose to. So do it in alignment with your intuition. Taurus, Saturn just moved out of your 10th house, probably prompting a lot of changes in your career or how you want it to be perceived in your public reputation. So if you haven't taken action on that, now's the time. What are you doing? Also, Saturn is has moved into already your 11th house of long-term goals, of long-term visions, of your outward community, of your relationship with social media. So this might be the time to show up more on social media, to get more disciplined about how you're creating content, that kind of thing, and putting yourself out there to be seen in your unique gifts and talents. How do you want to be of service to the world? What do you bring to the world? What do you bring to your community? And how can you start sharing it more? How can you start creating and putting your creativity out there to achieve your dreams, your hopes, and your visions? Do it. Gemini, Saturn just left your 9th house, so you probably were invested in your education. You probably were really invested in, changing your perception of reality. Maybe you even moved so that you could just be in a refreshing new place and environment and have a new perspective on life. Now Saturn is in your 10th house, asking you to get really serious about your career, your public reputation, how you're being seen in the world, and especially as it relates to your intuitive abilities, your intuitive gifts, psychic abilities, alternate healing modalities, all of those things. Also asking you to really get serious about your spiritual practices, because those are directly related to, if you heard that noise, confirmation, your spiritual practices are directly related to your career. So it's time to get serious about that and watch your career blow up. Cancer. Saturn just left your 8th house, the house of other people's resources, of investments, of taxes, of debt. So maybe you were really set on paying off a lot of debt, or maybe you went into debt to make your dream happen or make something happen that you've wanted to happen for a long time. Maybe you were really relying on the support of other people. And now Saturn is asking you to really get creative about how you've allowed that to lay a foundation for you so that you can move forward in new ways in your life. You're going through a lot of healing in your career. And so Saturn is really bringing up, okay, what kind of education do you want to invest in? What kind of, what things do you want to learn about so you can express more of your creativity, so you can share more spirituality, so you can share more about healing modalities or mindfulness or all those kinds of things. Saturn is really going to bring this up for you so that you start sharing yourself with the world and you start sharing what you're learning as you're learning it, and not thinking, oh, well, I need another certification. I need another degree before I can do that. No, do it freaking now. Do it messy, do it imperfect, build the foundation, okay? Because that's how it's going to take off. Otherwise, you're just delaying yourself the success that you deserve and are worthy of having when it comes to whatever your dream is. Leo Rising. Saturn just left your 7th house. Hi. Probably restricting a lot of your relationships, or maybe you got married. Woo! Now the focus is on other people's resources and asking for support from other people in your life, or living off investments, investing your money, putting your money into something that is going to grow it, not just spending it on things or what have you, but investing it into something that is going to grow it for you, or asking for support from others to pursue your dream, that kind of thing. Pursue more of your creative abilities, creative talents. Like maybe you've always wanted to have a business and you're like, okay, I need to get a loan. I need to do this. I need to ask for support from my hubby or my family or whatever, so that I can have a foundation of support and not have to worry about that and pursue my dream, right? And put money and time and energy into my creativity, and then it will make me money, that kind of thing. Leo Rising, let me know how this resonates with you, because the message is a little cloudy. The 8th house can be things not always clear to us, so let me know how this resonates with you and how you're moving forward on these things in your life. But I feel like this is the time, if you've wanted to grow something, to ask for investors, ask for support, ask for resources from other people in order to do that for yourself. And it will really have a long-term impact of success when you do. Virgo Rising. Saturn just left your 6th house and it's moving into your 7th house. So there might be restrictions or making serious commitments as it relates to your relationships, your partnerships, right? So Saturn leaving your 6th house is like kind of like upliftment of your routines, your health, your work life. It's just going to get a little bit easier. Maybe you've been really grinding the past couple years and you're going to feel like, okay, now I can kind of coast, right? Like you built the foundations, you really put in the hard work and the dedication, and now it's time to really just, reward yourself and celebrate all that you've done when it comes to your work and your health, life, and how much physical effort and how much physical like energy you've expended in what you did and what you built over the last couple years. Okay, so with Saturn moving into your 7th house, it's asking you to set better boundaries around the people in your life and maybe cultivate better connections with intuitives, with people that are spiritual, with people that, you know, help you to stay accountable to your spiritual practices. This might also be a time of getting serious in a relationship, finding that partner that you feel committed to, that you feel dedicated to, where there's an equal exchange of energy and commitment there. No more situationships. Like, no, bury that shit. Hold a funeral for it, because no, this is the time where you get really serious about your relationships and you set boundaries for those ones that don't feel so serious and don't feel like there's an even give and take in the relationship. Libra Rising, Saturn just moved out of your 5th house. Feeling refreshed in your creativity and what brings you joy, maybe reconnecting back with your passions. The past couple years have felt like grinding when it comes to creating, right? You're just like so in it, like maybe you haven't even seen what you've done or what you've created, and now it's like, oh shit, I did that. I was just like, every day I was just like showing up, doing the thing. I was just like doing the thing. I wasn't like, I did that. Like, this is kind of like the time where you celebrate yourself and what you've created, because you've just been so in it and dedicated to it. You maybe haven't seen like the scope of how big it is. Okay. Another thing with you guys too is reconnecting back with your inner child and what your inner child really loves to do, and feeling more free, feeling more freedom when it comes to doing things that you really love to do, reconnecting with your joy, your passion, your, you know, your happiness, your just innate sense of creativity and joy, and what brings you fulfillment. And it's not going to come from work. You guys have been working your asses off. Okay. So put time into things that bring you like actual joy, that don't have to do with work or what you've created, right? Like going on hikes or going to the beach, or, you know, whatever you like to do that like kind of feels relaxing. Maybe it's an active activity, like hiking is not relaxing really, but it is, but it's also like a workout, you know, but it's like, just make sure it's not something that's like, you just need a break. You need a break from working so damn hard. Okay, Libra, because Saturn is really bringing the discipline when it comes to your day-to-day job. Okay, what you do on the daily to make money. Saturn is really bringing the discipline when it comes to that, and really having a work-life balance, and really having a better relationship and connection to your physical body and your health, and what is going to ground you, what is going to bring you an increase of health in your physical body. Because again, I feel like you guys have really been just like putting yourselves into work, or whatever you're creating, that you've maybe neglected your body a little bit. So this is going to be a time of really taking care of it. Maybe, you know, seeing that chiropractor, getting massages, like getting regular Reiki sessions, all that kind of stuff, like really healing your body. Maybe, again, getting into nature more. This is really what this time is about for you, Libra. And bringing your creativity and your intuitive gifts into work in a way that feel easy and feel like flow, and don't feel like grind, no results, grind. It's like flow. Okay? You will see the results when you flow. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. That's insanity. Okay, Scorpio. Saturn just moved out of your 4th house, yay, and into your 5th house. So Saturn moving out of your 4th house, you might be feeling more free in terms of your home. You might be feeling like, wow, there was a lot of healing that occurred for me these past couple years when it comes to my subconscious, when it comes to my family, when it comes to my home life, right? My inner world. So you're going to be feeling just a little bit refreshed there. And these next couple years are going to be about really dedicating yourself and committing yourself to practices that bring you joy, that bring you a renewed sense of creativity and connection to your passion. This might even have to do with healing abilities, healing modalities, intuitive abilities, things of the occult, right? Because you're meant to really like be the occult, Scorpio. So it's time to get really disciplined about your occult practices, your spiritual practices, meditation, connecting to your guides, connecting to your ancestors, connecting to your higher self, your inner self. It's really going to be a time of dedicating yourself to that. You might be feeling challenges or conflicts in your dating world, might be feeling restrictions there in your romantic life or your sexuality, that kind of thing. But you will be dedicating yourself to some creative practice that's really going to pay off in the next few years. Sagittarius Rising. Pisces just moved Pisces. I start feeling looping when I get towards the end of these because 12 is a lot. Sagittarius. Saturn just moved out of your third house, restricting your mental thought patterns, your belief systems, and is moving into your fourth house, bringing discipline and commitment to your home. Maybe you guys are really feeling like you want to ground more into your home. You want to have better boundaries about your home, who you bring in, how often you leave your home, how much you work from home, like just about scheduling your home life better and having more of a balance there. This is also going to be a time of healing and learning a lot of lessons in your subconscious. Like, what did the last 3 years teach you about your communication and your beliefs and your thought patterns? And how are you're going to be taking that deeper basically in the next couple years, and bringing that to your psyche and bringing that change at a subconscious level. You might also be feeling called to more healing modalities as well, like really utilizing alternate healing modalities, getting Reiki, getting massage, all these kinds of things. Maybe dedicating yourself to spiritual practice more rigorously. All that kind of stuff is really going to be a focus for you for the next couple years. Might be feeling that already because it's Pisces season. Capricorn, Saturn just moved out of your second house. You're probably feeling more free and less restricted as it comes to money, your material possessions, finances. Felt like maybe the past couple years you really had to pinch pennies and really restrict yourself in certain ways or limit yourself in certain ways in order to have the money you needed. But now it feels like, okay, I'm in a flow. I built a structure, I built a foundation, and it just feels like I'm in flow now. Saturn is moving into your third house, creating a lot of change as it comes to how you're expressing yourself creatively when it comes to writing, speaking, again, your thought patterns, your belief systems. You might even be feeling a lot of change up in your day-to-day errands, like where you're going, who you're talking to, the things that you're doing on a daily basis. Might be feeling like maybe you're restricted there, going less places, talking to less people, putting yourself more into work. Writing a book could be an example, or starting a blog, or just like really dedicating yourself and committing yourself to expressing yourself more creatively, consistently. This is the time to write that book, publish that movie, publish that documentary, whatever. Like, you've been working on as it comes to your creative ventures, it's time to really get committed and disciplined to it, because it could really pay off in the next couple years if you're consistent and you're building that foundation and the structure of how you're creating and how you're sharing it with the world. Aquarius Rising, Saturn just left your first house, freeing up restrictions and limitations as it relates to your sense of self and your identity. Maybe even your body and appearance went through a lot of changes the last couple years, and those are really solidifying. You've laid a new foundation and structure of who you are, your sense of self, and it feels more solid. Saturn has moved into your second house of money, of finances. You might be making money using intuitive abilities or psychic gifts, alternate healing modalities, things like Reiki, the Akashic Records, etc., whatever calls to you, breathwork, meditation. You might be feeling called to share that with people and really put yourself out there in that way, and maybe change career paths because of it. But really, these next couple years are going to be a big lesson of, how do I want to make money? Am I making money in a way that's really truly aligned with me? Or am I making money because I think this is the only way I can be successful, kind of thing. I feel like you also are going to learn that you don't want to work so hard to make money, but that might come through a lot of challenges and restrictions as it relates to your finances until you eventually learn, right? The lesson of Saturn, learn the lesson of Saturn, which is like, I don't have to make this so hard. I can just learn the lesson and do things differently and live more in flow, right? So that's really what is going to be a big theme for you in this area of your life for the next couple years, is how to flow and how to bring in more money from flow. Pisces, Saturn just moved out of your 12th house of spirituality, of past life karma. Maybe you guys have really done a lot of healing, especially as it relates to your mental health these past couple years. And now you're feeling like, I finally get it. I finally feel like I'm more aware and conscious. I finally feel like I'm a different new me, right? Because Saturn is now in your first house. So this is going to be a time of really getting serious about the new identity you've been cultivating, the new mindset you've been cultivating, and really integrating and embodying that, right? And really being firm, dedicated, and disciplined to who you have become, putting your dreams, your goals, your hopes, your aspirations, your creativity at the forefront of who you are, and no longer hiding it for the sake of other people, or for the sake of fitting in, or for the sake of not wanting to ruffle feathers, or not seem like a black sheep, or not to go against the grain too much. Like, I feel like you guys are really embracing who you are and embracing what unique gifts you bring to the world, and sharing more of that, sharing more of yourself, sharing more of your creativity, putting it out there. And if you have already been doing that, amazing. This is going to be the time where you're really rewarded for doing that, and you're really going to be, through these next couple years, stepping into a new sense of self, a new identity, maybe making changes to your appearance, your body, wanting to just, like, if you're a woman, like, step more into like womanhood, as opposed to like shopping at Urban Outfitters, or like, you know, dressing kind of like teenager or like a younger adult. Like, you're learning how to dress more mature and dress more in alignment with your dreams, your hopes, your visions, as well as your creativity, and bring more creativity in what you're wearing. Like, maybe even make your own clothes. That's for a very specific person, where you're going to be making your own clothes and putting your unique spin on what you wear. Maybe even turning it into a business. Like, I feel like you guys are really just gonna be commodifying your creative expression, is literally what I heard. So that's what I have for you. And also making sure that you're dedicated to your spiritual practices, right? Meditation, yoga, and not just going and not taking care of yourself. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. Happy Saturn return. If it is your Saturn return, I hope these next couple years are abundant and fruitful for you all. And I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to let me know how this resonated with you down below. Start a conversation, and I'm sending you so much love on your journey. And until I see you again, bye for now.